You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national financial columnist and color commentator. This week on The Biz, our Women in Money series. And on today's show, our very special guest, the host of Financially Wise Women from Los Angeles, Brittney Castro, certified financial planner.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial professionals right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And with me today, certified financial planner, Brittney Castro. And I have to say, from the millennial generation, this is a whole new perspective. I usually interview people that are twice your age and have been around in this business for a long time,
right.
And you have a handle on this. Out on the web, I watched a lot of your YouTube and so forth, the way you approach it, and the predominant part of your practice is women. I mean, in fact, did I get this right? The only time you actually have male clients is generally because they're related to the gals you're already with.
Sure.
As it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at your step 2 in your book.
Yes.
Right? And when I look at this, I'm just looking at, we said about the first segment, the past, kind of knowing where you are to build your values. But now we have to kind of get up to speed. What's going on today?
Right.
Your current view. And I'm looking at all these things from credit score to income to expenses to insurance coverage. All these things seem to be alien to a lot of women, especially when they're coming out of male relationships, divorce relationships. Maybe they're older now, they're single,
Right.
they've never been married, or especially the big one, women who are now inheriting. And by the way, I just want to say this, the World War II and Korean veterans are almost all gone. Their wives have all the money now, and they're living in long-term care facilities, and they're being taken care of by their baby boomer daughters.
Yeah,
Now think
caregivers.
about that. And just to really, to show you, this is where America's going. The purse strings, the transfer has transferred from men to women. This is all happening right now.
It's happened.
So we want to prep gals because they're going to be controlling the wealth of
Yes.
America. So when you look at all these things, they're going to be giving you a budget. And maybe it's not pretty, right? I mean, there may not be any cash flow.
Right, right.
So talk a little bit about your second step.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the second step is just know where you're going, right? So, once we kind of look at the past, okay, we do some work there to uncover any subconscious beliefs and work through those, then we have to have a clear vision on the future. And I think for women in particular, it's really important for us to really honor our own vision, right? Because so many women, and I'm guilty of it, we live in this should mindset. Well, I should do this, right? I should do that. And I think that weighs heavily on women more so than men. And a lot of the clients that I work with, it's like, well, should you take that job? It doesn't sound like you want it. Should you save for the home down payment? Because it doesn't sound like you really care about having a home.
Do you think women are more expressive about that, and that's why you can pick it off easier?
Yeah, they're way more expressive and they're eager to learn. And I think then because of that, then the work really becomes, okay, getting really clear on your own vision, right? Like tuning out all this noise of how things used to be.
I like the way you just said that, because in your third step, you talk about achieving financial goals. And do we know what financial goals we want to achieve? I mean, I think guys generally are way more bravado. I mean, they're way out there boasting about what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
I think women are much more practical. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. And I definitely think, men for men, it's like kind of like that power and status, make a lot of money, have the home, the nice car, because that's, part of how they are, how our society views them, right? Women, it's like, okay, I want to achieve things in my life, but I'm not really sure what those goals are. And I think that's where we have to do some work and figure out, okay, what are meaningful financial goals for you? And then what does that mean in your current financial life? How do we start setting up a system so you can automatically save for those goals?
Do you think you have to introduce women to goals? Maybe they're not really, they don't know what they're supposed to achieve.
Yeah, sometimes, and women, we like to feel that we're normal. Is it normal to start saving for a home down payment at this age? is it normal to start thinking about like my kids' college education? I mean, sometimes women are like, I want to start saving for my kids' college education, and they don't have any kids yet. Like they're almost like too proactive. So we know of all these goals that we have to do, but we're still not very clear on which ones are really best for us.
Well, actually, that segues into your step 4 because you're talking about mastering your cash flow. Of course, if you don't have any cash flow, then you can't worry about children's education. You can't worry about putting money down on a home. So we have to establish some kind of working budget, a practical working and achievable goals. We just came off New Year's resolutions, and people make a ton of them, especially getting out of debt, getting money saved for retirement, and about 4 weeks out, it's over.
Right.
When you're talking about mastering cash flow, talk a little bit about that, because that to me is a major issue, because we can't do anything until we get some cash flow.
Right. And I always say it's not much about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, right? And so becoming a master of your cash flow is developing a spending plan that works for your life and that is in alignment with those goals that you've said you wanted to achieve in your financial life. So that's really just identifying income coming in and all your expenses going out. And it's the hardest thing to do. Like, I don't care how much money you make, I see it all over the spectrum. It is so hard because, again, it's an emotional thing. So I like to take emotion out of it and really help clients automate most of their cash flow. So automate your bill pay, automate your savings. Then at the end of the month, after you automate those things, all you have to do is spend. So then you could do some guilt-free spending and you're okay. But you have to be clear. You have to be clear on all those numbers, so it takes some work.
Well, guilt-free spending, that's my name and my game. When we come back, we're going to go to our third section when we talk about getting ready, number 3, and we're talking about prepping and understanding how to play with money and women right after the break.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
Living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant with Brittney Castro. And remember, you can order today's giveaways and right off the biz at brokersalliance.com in our 5-part video series on women by Dr. Barb Provost. It's huge, it's to die for, as well as Brittney's ebook that's out on the web. This is really great, Financially Wise Women. I like it. And I want you to read it because it'll really give you an insight into the mind of women and the process and how Brittney approaches her practice as a certified financial planner. And remember, before moving forward with anything that we talk on the show, if we ever get into taxes or anything like that today, which I don't think so, but just in case, always consult your tax advisor. And if you're FINRA licensed, always get okay from your broker-dealer compliance officer before moving forward with anything that we talk about on the show. Now, we've been talking about some of the basic yin and yang differences because this is really critical to our practice. If we want to expand our business, if we want to really build it out, we're going to have to listen to this because this is really, like you said, maybe you should start a new dating site. I call it corporate courtship. We have to start all over again. Now, I noticed here, interesting, this is one of these things I looked at from one of our carriers. It says, you need to exceed women's expectations. I always feel like, when you're on a first date, you have like first contact, kind of protocols. But how do you exceed a woman's expectation on the first appointment so you can get a second appointment?
One of the best ways is to send a thank you card, handwritten thank you card after your initial meeting with the women clients that you're meeting with. That alone sets you apart because it shows that you took the time to write a handwritten thank you card, send it in the mail, and just say, thank you, it was a pleasure meeting you. I loved hearing about your financial goals and concerns. I look forward to working with you. Simple, straightforward, but women love that because, again, it shows that you care. It's that personal touch to show that you are invested in my future right from the beginning.
Well, that again, I mean, I used to think that's just a standard stationary kind of a second touch follow-up issue. But you're saying this is much more than that. And what I think about a handwritten letter, how long is it going to take you to write a little card and just thank you for that? I mean, not really a long time. We're not used to doing this. I mean, we're going to have to learn how to do this. Here's another one I wanted to talk about. It says, give her something to talk about with her friends. Now, I think that's really, I mean, I'm thinking about going to my club here, my investment club, an all-women's investment club, and I'm saying, I'm going to give you something to talk about with your friends, whether it's a club or just your social gathering. Talk a little bit about why is that a pretty good tactic. I've seen more women use this with other women in their clientele by giving something to talk about with other women.
Again, we just love to talk. We love to support one another. We want to share what we're learning with our closest women friends and family members. And so when you give them specific call to actions or takeaways from every meeting, or if you just simply explain a financial strategy that they didn't get before, guess what they're going to do? The next day, that night, they're going to, when they see their girlfriends or, you know, coworkers that are women, they're going to be like, oh, you know what I learned last night? Blah, blah, blah. That's just what we do. We share. We share everything, and we want to, that's how we connect with our women in our circle. So if you just constantly are educating them, maybe giving them specific things to actually go and talk about, they're gonna share it.
I think that's one of the key issues of how we communicate, which is we're actually sharing on the same level. We're not teaching. And I've noticed that most of the complaints I've heard are that we're not on the same. We're like mentor, student, coach, client. It's never equal. It's not on the same wavelength. And when we share a really cool idea that's easy to understand, you say that there's a natural, propagation of that. They go out into their connections, their groups, their communities, and they talk about this one cool thing that they learned from you. I love ideas like this. Another one is, and we've all heard about how everybody's got their basic pitch. You're in the elevator, and somebody says, what do you do for a living? What's your livelihood? What's your vocation? And you have this little rehearsed elevator, well, I help people asset allocate, and it's the great Poupon institutional corporate. How do I refine my elevator speech when I'm expanding my practice and building it out to incorporate now women who are now occupying some huge purse strings in America?
I think that just comes down to being authentic. I don't really have an elevator speech. I'm not that person. I honestly say I'm a financial planner for entrepreneurial and professional women.
That's it.
And that's it. And you know what? I'm out there on the web. I'm doing a lot of events. I'm working well with my clients, and if people want to know more, they'll seek it out. And I just feel at this point, I provide enough value out there, and I'm constantly trying to pump out more value, free content, free education to help women, because that's truly a passion for me. Like, this is my calling in life. So it comes from an authentic place where I don't need to be so cheesy with my elevator speech, but for men, or for advisors who are really looking to target women, just start to think of things that are more holistic, right? You're not just a wealth manager. Maybe you're helping them provide a legacy for their families, right? Simple as that changes the whole perspective of what you do, because now you're so much more holistic, right?
Now, I noticed when you talk about you give a lot of content free, that's part of your your mantra. What about social media?
I love it.
You do. I mean, you're into it.
I'm in it.
I mean, we are into social media here so big. And I want to talk about this, maybe, and we have time in our second segment tomorrow, because I really want to get into how does social media, you're using it. I mean, not many certified financial planners, and your broker-dealer must be okay with it, right? That's really a huge leap, right?
Yeah.
So that to me is huge. Social media, women, hand in hand. Remember, you can watch this show and all our shows by clicking the red on-demand video button right on our homepage at brokersalliance.com. Well, that's the Buzz on the Biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.